Okay, let's continue on with the next story, which we'll probably do this one here.
The natural leadership, which with my uncle procured the instruments from the laboratories of Brown University and the Cranston Street Armory, and instinctively assumed direction of our venture, was a marvelous commentary on the potential vitality and resilience of the man of 81. Elihu Whipple had lived according to the hygienic laws he had preached as a physician, and but for what happened later, would be here in full vigor today.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting ending to the game. I could barely see through all those little alien dudes.
What I heard in my youth about the shunned house was merely that people died there in alarmingly great numbers. That, I was told, was why the original owners had moved out some 20 years after building the place. It was plainly unhealthy, perhaps because of the dampness and fungus growth in the cellar, the general sickish smell, the drafts of the hallway, or the quality of the well and pump water.
Okay, it looks like there's a fourth story over there as well, which is the red one. I don't know if I'll be able to get that one done. Yeah, that's really far away by the looks of it. Yeah, we haven't actually searched over this area, because the white one was mainly all over that area, so this will be interesting. And we still got back that area as well to do. I don't know what the hell that thing is.
In short, it seemed to my uncle and me that an incontrovertible array of facts pointed to some lingering influence in the shunned house, traceable to one or another of the ill-favoured French settlers of 2 centuries before, and still operative through rare and unknown laws of atomic and electronic motion. That the family had possessed an abnormal affinity for outer circles of entity, dark spheres which for normal folk held only repulsion and terror, their recorded history seemed to prove.
Okay, let's do this one. Hoping that one might be able to get
declare that we
done.
were not nervous on that rainy night of watching would be an exaggeration both gross and ridiculous. We were not, as I've said, in any sense childishly superstitious, but scientific study and reflection had taught us that the known universe of 3 dimensions embraces the merest fraction of the whole cosmos of substance and energy. In this case, an overwhelming preponderance of evidence from numerous authentic sources pointed to the tenacious existence of certain forces of great power, and so far as the human point of view is concerned, exceptional malignancy.
I'm guessing that when the story progresses, just notice that these seem to grow. They weren't there before.
Such a thing was surely not a physical or biochemical impossibility in the light of newer science, which includes the theories of relativity and intra-atomic action. One might easily imagine an alien nucleus of substance or energy, formless or otherwise kept alive by imperceptible or immaterial subtractions from the life force or bodily tissues and fluids of other and more palpably living things into which it penetrates, and with whose fabric it sometimes completely merges itself. It might be actively hostile, or it might be dictated merely by blind motives of self-preservation. In any case, such a monster must of necessity be in our scheme of things an anomaly, and an intruder whose extirpation forms a primary duty, with every man not an enemy to the world's life, health, and sanity.
Well, this is definitely bigger than I thought it was, because it seems to go on forever down this way.
What baffled us was our utter ignorance of the aspect in which we might encounter the thing. No sane person had ever seen it, and few had ever felt it definitively. It might be pure energy, a form ethereal and outside the realm of substance. Or it might be partly material, some unknown and unequivocal mass of plasticity, capable of changing at will to nebulous approximations of the solid, liquid, gaseous, or tenuously unparticled states. The anthropomorphic patch of mold on the floor, the form of the yellowish vapor, and the curvature of the tree roots in some of the old tales all argued at least a remote and reminiscent connection with the human shape. But how representative or permanent that similarity might be, none could say with any kind of certainty.
Okay, so I'm guessing that the different colours mean a meaning to it then, because you mentioned yellow vapors, and of course the things that we're following are yellow, and yeah, not quite sure, but you never know. We just try to reach this one. just disappointing because my game is lagging so much because I'm only getting like 10 frames per second at most.
It occurred to us too that our venture was far from safe, for in what strength the thing might appear no one could tell. But we deemed the game worth the hazard and embarked on it alone and unhesitatingly, conscious that the seeking of outside aid would only expose us to ridicule and perhaps defeat our entire purpose. Such was our frame of mind as we talked far into the night, till my uncle's growing drowsiness made me remind him to lie down for his 2 hours' sleep.
It's very interesting. I'm just noticing that that's like growing upwards, that's like the tower thing that we saw earlier.
He had, he said, floated off from a very ordinary series of dream pictures into a scene whose strangeness was related to nothing he had ever read. It was of this world, and yet not of it, a shadowy geometrical confusion in which could be seen elements of familiar things and most unfamiliar and perturbing combinations. There was a suggestion of queerly disordered pictures superimposed one upon another, an arrangement in which the essentials of time as well as of space seemed dissolved and mixed in a most illogical fashion. In this kaleidoscopic vortex of phantasmal images were occasional snapshots, if one might use the term, of singular clearness but unaccountable heterogeneity.
At least we get to kind of see this area before it like starts building into like a big tower thing. It looks really interesting. We're like standing on the thing. It's actually running off a lot as well. Kind of interesting. Almost at this one. It seems like they're getting like harder and harder to find.
I felt in my visions a cosmic and abysmal aloneness, with hostility surging from all sides upon some prison where I lay confined. I seemed bound and gagged and taunted by the echoing yells of distant multitudes who thirsted for my blood. My uncle's face came to me with less pleasant associations than in waking hours, and I recall many futile struggles and attempts to scream. It was not a pleasant sleep, and for a second I was not sorry for the echoing shriek which clove through the barriers of dream and flung me to a sharp and startled awakeness, in which every actual object before my eyes stood out with more than natural clearness and reality.
Just in time for this one.
Above the anthropomorphic patch of mold by the fireplace it rose, a subtle, sickish, almost luminous vapor which as it hung trembling in the dampness seemed to develop vague and shocking suggestions of form, gradually trailing off into nebulous decay and passing up into the blackness of the great chimney with a vader in its wake. It was truly horrible, and the more so to me because of what I know of the spot. Refusing to flee, I watched it fade, and as I watched, I felt that it was in turn watching me greedily with eyes more imaginable than visible.
I don't remember seeing this red patch of whatever this is. It's like meant to be sand or something. Otherwise it's because we're letting...
My ears rang the reverberations of that shocking scream, while my nostrils revolted at the stench which filled the place. My mind, as alert as my sense, recognized the gravely unusual, and almost automatically I leapt up and turned about to grasp the destructive instruments which we had left trained on the moldy spot before the fireplace. As I turned, I dreaded what I was to see, for the scream had been in my uncle's voice, and I knew not what menace I should have to defend him and myself.
Okay, it seems like each person like has like different things wrong with them, because like the first guy had amnesia, then this girl was like, I think it's either seeing things or was like, I don't know, it was like having troubles with her uncle or something. Not really paying attention. I probably should be. Okay, let's continue on with the rest of the story as we walk into this one.
Yet after all, the sight was worse than I had dreaded. There are horrors beyond horrors, and this was one of those nuclei of dreamable hideousness which the cosmos saves to blast an accursed and unhappy few. Out of the fungus-ridden earth steamed up a vaporous corpse light, yellow and diseased, which bubbled and lapped to a gigantic height in vague outlines half human and half monstrous, through which I could see the chimney and fireplace beyond. It was all eyes, wolfish and mocking, and the rugose insect-like head dissolved at the top to a thin stream of mist. I say I saw this thing, but it is only in conscious retrospection that I have ever definitely traced its damnable approach to form. At the time it was to me only a seething, dimly phosphorescent cloud of fungus loathsomeness, enveloping and dissolving to an abhorrent plasticity the one object to which all my attention was focused. That object was my uncle, the venerable Elihu Whipple, who with blackening and decaying features leered and gibbered at me, and reached out dripping claws to rend me in the fury which the horror had brought. In that dim blend of blue and yellow, the form of my uncle had commenced a nauseous liquefaction whose essence eludes all description, and in which there played across his vanishing face such changes of identity as only madness can conceive. He was at once a devil and a multitude, a charnel house and a pageant. Lit by the mixed and uncertain beams, the gelatinous face assumed a dozen, a score, 100 aspects, grinning as it sank to the ground on a body that melted like tallow, in the caricatured likeness of legions strange and yet not strange.
So I'm guessing that she's imagining things and of her uncle and stuff. It's coming back to honor.
The rest is shadowy and monstrous. There was no one in the world I dared tell. Grey dawn unfolded wetly from the east, silhouetting the archaic hill, beckoning me to the place where my terrible work was still unfinished. My mind was made up, and taking my hat, I set out from home, where I bathed, ate, and gave by telephone an order for a pickaxe, a spade, a military gas mask, and 6 carboys of sulfuric acid, all to be delivered the next morning at the cellar door of the shunned house.
That thing is getting closer. It's not a good thing.
At 11 a.m. the next day I commenced digging. It was sunny weather and I was glad of that. I was still alone, for as much as I feared the unknown horror I sought, there was more fear in the thought of telling anybody. My hands shook perceptibly, but still I delved after a while, standing in the large hole I had made. With the deepening of the hole, which is about 6 feet square, the evil smell increased, and I lost all doubt of imminent contact with the hellish thing whose emanations had cursed the house for over a century and a half. I wondered what it would look like, what its form and substance would be, and how big it might have waxed through long ages of life-sucking. Suddenly my spade struck something softer than earth. I shuddered and made a motion as if to climb out of the hole, which was now as deep as my neck.
So I'm guessing she caught something when she was doing her dig or something. I noticed that they managed to catch onto something when they've done something, because I think the guy, what was it, during the war or something, not quite sure, and it's she's been on a dig and it started to go crazy.
The surface I uncovered was fishy and glassy, a kind of semi-putrid congealed jelly which suggestions of translucency. The surface I uncovered was fishy and glassy, a kind of semi-putrid congealed jelly with suggestions of translucency. I scraped further and saw that it had form. There was a rift where part of the substance was folded over. The exposed area was huge and roughly cylindrical, like a mammoth blue-white stovepipe doubled in two, its largest part some 2 feet in diameter. Still more I scraped, and then abruptly I leapt out of the hole and away from the filthy thing, frantically unstopping and tilting the heavy carboys and precipitating the corrosive contents one after another down the charnel gulf and upon the unthinkable abnormality whose tightened elbow I had seen.
Okay, this is actually kind of interesting, because it seems that the world ends different ways depending what story you've gone through. Because noticed with the first guy, it was with the little glowing alien guys. Now it's with this girl, and she's basically seen this mist, and it's yeah, there's this mist coming out. Because it was, the first guy was with the aliens and the massive towers and everything, which I think was brought on by his amnesia. And then there's this girl who's basically she'd gotten something through a dig, and she's basically started going crazy and is basically seeing stuff, and there's this mist stuff. So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting.
The 2 remaining carboys I emptied down without particular result, and after a time I felt it safe to shovel the earth back into the pit. It was twilight before I was done, but fear had gone out of the place. The dampness was less faded, and all the strange fungi had withered to a kind of harmless, greyish powder which blew ash-like along the floor. One of Earth's nethermost terrors had perished forever, and if there be a hell, it had received at last the demon soul of an unhallowed thing. And as I patted down the last spadeful of mold, I shed the first of many tears with which I had paid unaffected tribute to my beloved uncle's memory.
Can't seem to see the next one, because the white one's there, blue one's there, red one is back there. Just trying to see where the next one is. But yeah, for some reason this reminds me of like crossed over with like War of the Worlds or something. But yeah, it's just like these red things. Because I remember in War of the Worlds, like they had red stuff coming out like during part of it. Where's the next one? Don't know where it is. Can't see it anywhere. I hope it's not that back that way. Unless I finished the story already. I don't think I have. I'll have to have a look around. It seems to be happening again. Still trying to look for the rest of the story, but I think I may have finished her side because I can't seem to see any more of the yellow ones. Not quite sure. So it's not actually like completely different. It still like does the whole yellow stuff, but yeah, like different events happen. Like that mist wasn't there before, and then like the red tentacle thing coming out of the ground that obviously didn't happen before either. And then of course on the tower isn't there at all, so yeah. I can't seem to see any more of the yellow ones, so I think I actually may have finished the story. I'm just going to continue on to see if there is any more. Yeah, there's the red one over there. I mean, just like at the last second I see it. Giant rook there, but I think I actually did. Ooh, and that's actually quite a lot of colour. Don't think I noticed that before. I was too busy trying to get the story finished. But I think I actually did get her one finished because I can't see any more of them, so yeah, I just might actually wait this out to see how this ends. Yeah, it should start coming, which is happening because there seems to be more now. I'll just have a venture this way, see what's like around this area, because we haven't seen around here yet. But here we go. Looks like the world is ending. Let's only get more. Yeah, I can't see any more, so I'm guessing we finished her story. Yeah, it's gone darker colour now. Probably because they've dropped off all these little guys. Should be ending soon. And here we go. Bright colours. And there we go. Okay, I'll probably start back up and do one of the other two ones that we got there.